Over the last 10 years, if you've been building out a SaaS business, there's really been two ways to drive growth. The first one is demand generation, and the second one is outbound. I believe that over the next 10 years, if you really want to grow your SaaS business, you got to double down on brand. Brand is making a comeback and is the single biggest way to differentiate your SaaS business from the competition and actually rise above. In this video, I'm gonna be walking you through the 3 principles that you can follow to actually build a brand for your startup. I'm really excited about this video, so let's dig in. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, author of the book, How to Punch the Sunday Jitters in the Face, startup founder, and I also run the SaaS Startup School, where I help entrepreneurs like you start, build, and exit their SaaS businesses. On this channel, I bring you a video every single Sunday and Wednesday with the TK energy to actually teach you everything that I know about building SaaS businesses. So if you're new, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified every single time I drop an episode like this. I believe that building a strong brand for your early stage SaaS startup is one of the best ways to drive growth. When you actually have a strong brand, a mini brand, a brand that others can start to recognize, then everything becomes easier. Building leads becomes easier. Building pipeline becomes easier. Closing deals becomes easier. Everything becomes just a little bit easier. The problem is, over the last 10 years, brand hasn't been as popular. Demand generation has been more popular, outbound has been more popular. Trust me, I know, because I worked at ToutApp, I started that company, and actually helped you do outbound. And then I worked as the SVP of strategy at Marketo, where, well, let's be honest, Marketo practically invented demand generation, along with HubSpot and Eloqua. I know. But brand is making a comeback. And on this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles that you can follow to actually build brand. So if you're excited to dig in, smash that like button and let's go to principle number 1. Principle number 1 is when you are building your brand in the early days, when you are an early stage startup, the natural inclination is to actually go after putting your brand out there. Now, this is gonna be a little counterintuitive, but follow me here. So let's just say you started a company. It's called Awesome.io. You have the brand, you want the pretty colors, you have the logo, you have the website. Interestingly enough, that's not the best way to build your brand. The best way to actually build your brand is actually to put yourself out there and build your brand, build your personal brand. You as a person are more relatable than your brand is right now. So if you actually go out there, you as a person have more connections. You as a person has a bigger story. And there's a reason why you started this company, right? And that's why you're the founder. And so when you are actually putting yourself out there and building your personal brand and always saying, by the way, I started this company called ToutApp, or I'm SVP of strategy of Marketo, or I run Unstoppable, your story starts to actually elevate the brand of your brand new company. But if you just put Awesome.io front, no one really knows Awesome.io. They don't trust it. They don't know who that person is, that company. But when you put yourself out first and you actually establish yourself as the brand, as the front, and keep mentioning Awesome.io, all of a sudden your brand starts to elevate and Awesome.io starts to legitimize and starts to get a mini brand in itself. As you start to do that, you can't just go out there and say, I'm gonna build a personal brand, right? Like, how do you even do that? How do you do that in a real way? This is the second piece. You and your company, both of you, your personal brand and Awesome.io, actually needs to stand for something. Great brands always stand for something. They always have some form of an us versus them. They know who they are and what they believe in, and they know who they are against. If you wanna stand out in this noisy world and you actually wanna build brand, after you've started to put yourself out there to elevate your company's brand and start to give it legitimacy, you then actually have to have a shared manifesto. You need to actually have a document. You need to actually have something that says, this is what we believe, so follow us. And when you have that, the us versus them, people will start to pay attention. Now, there's a specific way to do this. You can't just craft a manifesto that's blah, because if you're right in the mainstream, no one's gonna believe you, no one's gonna follow you, and it just won't work. You also can't have a manifesto, an us versus them, that's forced. It's like, well, we think that X sucks. And it's like, well, everyone loves X. No one wants to hang out with you. It has to be thoughtful. It has to be meaningful. That's why manifestos are so powerful, because it requires you to actually dig deep into your story, dig deep into why you started this company, what you believe, what's different, and actually craft that manifesto. And when you can craft that under an us versus them, or as Andy Raskin will say, an old story versus a new story, whatever trick you want to use, and when you codify it into your manifesto, everything becomes a lot more powerful. Now, before I go to the third one, let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to get this? Now, building a brand today, these days, isn't about shiny colors, a pretty logo. It isn't about that perfect name. Yes, a name is important. Yes, the right domain is important, but it's not the thing that really moves the needle. Great brands actually have a really strong person up front as the leader. Great brands believes in something very specific and is almost a little polarizing. Great brands actually get people to follow them because they also believe the same things that the leader believes, that the brand then believes. When you start to get these things right, you start to build an audience. And when you start to build that audience, you start to get a mini brand. Now, the reason brand got such a bad rep over the last 10 years was because it wasn't very measurable. People used to spend money on a billboard, they used to spend money on a newspaper ad, they used to spend money on a pretty pen with a logo on it, but there was no way to actually measure if that led to revenue. That's why demand generation and outbound became so powerful, because they were measurable. Well, now that there's a new playbook for brand, now that there's social media where you can actually establish your personal brand and you can actually publish your manifesto and you can start to track how many people are actually downloading it and engaging with it, brand all of a sudden is A, very cheap, and B, it can actually be measurable. So I'm going to go into the third thing that you need to do to actually build a brand. Before I do that, if you're building out a brand, if you're building out a go-to-market machine, if you're trying to build out a moat, then be sure to follow the link below at the end of this video. I'll link to it below as well. I have a 45-minute training on how to build out an unstoppable sales and marketing machine. Brand is one part of it, but so is demand generation and so is outbound, and you gotta get it right. So I have a 45-minute presentation completely free that teaches you how to build an unstoppable sales and marketing machine. I'll link to it below, but let's keep going. So once you have your personal brand, you start to give legitimacy to the actual new brand you're building, you're starting to emerge as that leader, you have this manifesto and the us versus them. The third thing you have to do, and this is where brand really unlocks, and this is why there's like almost a brand 2.0, is you gotta build a community. You have to make it possible for all the people, the audience, that also believes in this manifesto, that's engaging with this, to actually connect with each other. And that's the thing, building a community, building a group of believers that believe in the same manifesto, the same belief, the same change that's happening in the world as you do. That's when a brand really comes alive. That's when they'll start to wear the same t-shirts with the logo because they believe the same thing that you do. And not only that, they can come together in a place and compare notes with each other and share their beliefs and talk about their best practices. When you do these three things, a bunch of stuff happens. The first thing that happens is everything becomes easier. It becomes easier to build pipeline. It becomes easier to close deals. It becomes easier to actually compete. On top of that, because you have this wild group of followers and believers that believe in the same thing, even as the market evolves, they'll stay with you. There's actually trust and there's loyalty. And that's what brand brings as well. Here's the thing. You can follow the old playbook of go-to-market, of sales and marketing, but it doesn't work. There's some changes that are happening in the world. The biggest change that's happening is it's noisier than ever. It used to be that you could map for SEO and you could get traffic into a blog post, but that's harder than ever. And then with demand gen, you can actually run ads. You can run ads, but that's becoming more expensive than ever. And on top of that, the most important thing that's changed, especially in SaaS, is that it's easier than ever to start a SaaS business, which means that you need a moat. You need a way to protect yourself from the next competitor that comes and copies you. And the biggest moat that exists today is brand. That's why I think in the next 10 years, branding is going to be the thing that really redefines marketing. How you build brand. It's not about just the cool colors and the flashy logos, but it's about what you believe. It's about the leader of the brand. It's about the us versus them. It's about the manifesto. It's about the community. That's the new brand. And if you can do that for your startup, you will build a moat and everything will become easier in terms of building pipeline and closing deals. So now you know how to do branding for startups. Number one, you actually want to establish your personal brand to elevate your company brand. You actually want to emerge as the leader of that brand. Number two, you want to be creating and publishing a manifesto that says us versus them, that makes you stand out. It says what you believe, what your unique belief in the market is. And number 3, you want to build a community and allow all these people that believes the same thing that you do to really connect with each other and rally around your brand. Now, if you're building out a sales and marketing machine, brand is just a part of it. There's demand gen, there's outbound, there's go-to-market strategy, market strategy, there's a lot there. This is why I put together a 45-minute training video on how to actually build out an unstoppable sales and marketing machine. It's completely free. You just have to follow the link below, or you can go to tkkader.com/SaaS-training. tkkader.com/SaaS-training. You just go there and you'll be able to actually watch that 45-minute training on how to build out an unstoppable sales and marketing machine, which, by the way, includes brand. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button. Also, I drop a video like this every Sunday and every Wednesday to help you build, scale, and exit your SaaS business. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. Also, if you have a friend that's also building a SaaS business and they could get value from this, please share this video. It would mean the world to us. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. But when you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I will see you in the next video.